Have you ever walked into a room and quietly wondered, do people still notice me the way they used to? It's a feeling many men experience as they grow older. Time passes, hair turns silver, lines form around the eyes, and yet, something deeper often grows stronger. Your presence, your confidence, your quiet strength. What if I told you that your appeal hasn't faded? It's simply evolved in this video. We're going to explore 8 subtle but powerful signs that reveal you may be far more attractive than you think. These aren't about chasing youth or changing who you are. They're about recognizing the timeless qualities that others, especially younger women, notice in you, often without saying a word. Whether it's the way you carry yourself, how others respond to your voice, or the simple warmth you leave behind after a conversation, these signs just might shift the way you see yourself and help you appreciate the man you've become. So take a deep breath, settle in, and let's reflect together. If you've ever doubted your charm, this might be exactly what you need to hear. And if something resonates along the way, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's begin. Number 1, younger women feel at ease around you. There's something quietly powerful about a man who doesn't need to prove himself. A man who walks into a room not to impress, but simply to be present. That presence, grounded, calm, confident, is often what younger women find most attractive, even if you don't see it in yourself. If you've ever noticed a younger woman smiling a little longer, laughing more freely at your jokes, or staying in conversation just a bit past what's necessary, she's not just being polite, she's comfortable. She's drawn to your energy. Take Walter, a 68-year-old retiree who volunteers twice a week at a local community garden. He doesn't wear flashy clothes. He doesn't boast about his past, and he certainly isn't chasing anyone's approval. But the younger women in the group often linger by his side. They ask him about soil, about tomatoes, about life. What they're really enjoying, though, is the way Walter makes them feel safe, respected, and seen. His conversations are never rushed. His smile is never forced, and his eyes truly listen. That's the quiet allure of emotional maturity. Younger women often pick up on that more than words can express. When you're not trying to dominate the room, but simply be part of it with grace and authenticity, you radiate something rare, inner peace, and that kind of energy is magnetic. It doesn't need loud declarations or expensive cologne. It shows itself in the way you carry your silence, in the way you treat others, in the way you make space for others to simply be themselves. So if women seem more open, more trusting, or simply more relaxed in your company, don't second guess it. It's not a fluke. It's not charity. It's the natural response to a man who has learned, over time, to be gentle with himself and therefore gentle with others. That kind of quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't need to perform, is one of the most attractive qualities you can carry into your later years. And it doesn't fade with age. It grows. Number 2, you get compliments on your style or grooming. There's something undeniably striking about a man who's found his rhythm with how he presents himself, not because he's chasing trends or trying to look younger, but because over time, he's learned what suits him, what feels true, and what quietly commands respect. If people, especially women, often compliment your clothing, your haircut, or even the way you smell, it's not just flattery. It's a reflection of the impression you leave without needing to say a word. Take Gerald, for example, a 72-year-old retired architect from Vermont. He isn't flashy. He wears earth-tone jackets, polished shoes, and has a neatly trimmed beard that's more silver now than salt and pepper. But every time he walks into his local cafe, heads turn. People comment on how put together he looks, how pleasant he smells, how relaxed yet refined his presence is. And it's not just about the clothes. It's about the man inside them. As we age, our style evolves not to impress, but to express. The way you dress becomes less about fashion and more about identity. Whether it's a well-fitted blazer that hints at quiet authority or a soft cotton shirt that speaks of ease and warmth, your choices begin to reflect the story you've lived. Women notice this. They notice when a man respects himself enough to care about the details: clean shoes, well-groomed hair, or the subtle confidence that comes with wearing something that simply feels right. And grooming. It goes far beyond vanity. Keeping a clean shave, a smart beard, or a fresh scent isn't about chasing youth, it's about honoring yourself, showing that even in the later chapters of life, you're still attentive, still thoughtful, still fully alive in how you move through the world. That effort doesn't go unnoticed, especially by women who recognize maturity, grace, and dignity when they see it. So the next time someone compliments your cologne, your shirt, or the way you carry yourself, don't brush it off. Take it in. That compliment is more than words, it's recognition. It means you're seen, not just for how you look, but for the care, the pride, and the quiet confidence that radiates from a man who still chooses to show up fully, even as the seasons of life shift. That, in itself, is deeply attractive. Number 3, women give you lingering looks. There's a quiet language women speak that doesn't require words, a subtle shift in gaze, a pause that lasts a beat too long. If you've ever caught a younger woman glancing your way, only for her eyes to linger just a little longer than expected before quickly turning away, that wasn't an accident. That was curiosity. That was admiration. Whether she meant to reveal it or not, a lingering look speaks volumes about the impression you make without even trying. Take Martin, a 70-year-old former pilot who now spends his mornings at the local park cafe, reading the newspaper with a gentle presence. He's not flashy, he wears soft sweaters, has a silver beard neatly trimmed, and carries himself with a calm that turns heads more than any cologne could. One morning, a woman in her 30s at the next table looked up from her laptop, her gaze catching his for just a moment too long. She smiled, then quickly returned to her screen, cheeks slightly flushed. Martin didn't say a word. He didn't need to. His presence had already spoken for him. These moments happen when you least expect them: at the grocery store, while holding the door open, during a walk through town. What draws those eyes isn't youth or loud charisma. It's your energy. It's the quiet self-assurance that comes from a man who's lived, who's loved, who's learned how to be at peace with himself. That's the kind of confidence that doesn't scream, it hums. And that hum resonates deeper than you realize. And let's not overlook humor. When a woman laughs at your joke, not the loud, forced kind, but the soft, real kind that lights up her face, it's not always about how funny the joke was. Often, it's about how you made her feel safe, comfortable, engaged. Humor delivered with ease, the kind that stems from emotional intelligence and not from the need to impress, is irresistibly attractive. It shows that you're not afraid to be lighthearted, that you enjoy life and invite others to do the same. So, the next time you catch someone's gaze lingering just a moment longer, or you hear a laugh that feels a little warmer than usual, receive it for what it is: an unspoken compliment. It means you've been seen, not just for how you look, but for the kind of presence you bring into the room. And that is something women never forget. Number 4, people seek your advice or perspective. There comes a moment in a man's life when people no longer look to him just for what he can do, but for what he knows, how he listens, and the calm he brings into the room. If you find others, especially younger women, often turning to you for advice, asking your thoughts on life, relationships, or decisions they're wrestling with, don't underestimate what that means. It's not just about information, it's about presence, it's about trust. And yes, it's deeply attractive. Consider Howard, a 74-year-old former Navy officer who now volunteers at a community mentorship group. He's not the loudest voice in the room. In fact, he often speaks last, and always with intention. Yet people gather around him not because he demands attention, but because he earns it. Young volunteers, both men and women, often ask, "What do you think, Howard?" They don't want flashy opinions. They want his calm, his clarity, the kind of insight that only time and reflection can bring. That kind of presence can't be faked. It's built over decades through wins and losses, heartbreak and healing. And when you've carried those experiences with grace, they begin to shape not just your answers, but your energy. Women sense that, especially those who may feel rushed, judged, or unheard in other spaces. When a man offers genuine perspective without ego, listens without interrupting, and speaks without trying to control, it creates a rare kind of safety, a magnetic kind of warmth. And it's not about having all the answers. It's about the way you consider things, the way you make others feel seen, not corrected, the way you say, "I understand," and truly mean it. That quiet strength, emotional steadiness, paired with genuine empathy, is what turns ordinary advice into something unforgettable. It tells the world, especially the women in it, here is someone who's lived and who can help others live better. So if people come to you often, even for the small things, take that as a sign of admiration. Your voice matters not because it's the loudest, but because it carries wisdom. Your calm is a gift in a chaotic world, and sometimes your perspective is the very thing someone didn't know they needed. That's not just a sign you're aging well. It's proof that you've become the kind of man who leaves a lasting impact. And in any relationship, romantic or otherwise, that is a kind of beauty that never fades. Number 5, strangers respond positively to your presence. There's a certain kind of man who can walk into a room and immediately shift the air around him, not with noise or flash, but with quiet, grounded energy. If you've ever found that strangers seem to go out of their way to smile at you, strike up friendly conversation in line, or offer help without being asked, don't brush it off. These small, seemingly ordinary moments are subtle signs that your presence is more powerful and more attractive than you realize. Think of Raymond, a 69-year-old retired firefighter who now enjoys his mornings sipping coffee at a bookstore cafe. He doesn't seek attention. He doesn't need to. Yet the young barista remembers his name and favorite drink. A couple browsing books nearby turns to him for a recommendation. A stranger asks for help reaching something on the top shelf, then stays a moment longer to chat. Raymond has become a familiar comfort in that space, not because of what he says, but because of how he makes people feel. That, right there, is magnetic. And it doesn't come from trying to be charming. It comes from years of learning how to be at ease with yourself. You've grown into your identity, found peace with your imperfections, and now move through life with the kind of steady warmth that others feel instantly. People pick up on that, your calm demeanor, your relaxed smile, the way you listen without rushing. It creates a sense of safety, of familiarity, even for those who just met you. Women in particular are attuned to this kind of energy. They may not even realize what draws them in at first, but it's the sense that you're stable, kind, and quietly confident. When someone offers you an extra smile or goes out of their way to talk with you, it's often because they're drawn to that aura. It's not about youth or flashiness. It's about the kind of man you've become, one who doesn't need approval to feel valuable. So the next time a stranger lingers in conversation or you're greeted with warmth you didn't expect, take it as a sign. You're not just being noticed, you're being felt. And that energy you radiate, genuine, welcoming, steady, is one of the most appealing qualities a man can possess. No matter his age, that's not something you can fake. It's something you've earned. Number 6, you have a signature scent or style people notice. There's something unforgettable about a man who knows exactly who he is and shows it without ever needing to say a word. If people often compliment your cologne, admire your choice in clothing, or notice the quiet elegance of your accessories, it's not just good taste. It's a reflection of something much deeper: identity, confidence, presence. You've likely developed a style over the years that isn't about chasing trends, but about honoring what feels true to you. And whether you realize it or not, that consistency has become your silent signature. Take Leonard, a 71-year-old former jazz musician from New Orleans. He doesn't wear anything loud, just a crisp linen shirt, a pair of polished loafers, and a classic leather watch that always seems to catch someone's eye. He wears a warm, woodsy cologne, subtle, never overpowering, but the kind that lingers in memory. It's no surprise that when he walks into a room, people often smile and say, "You always smell so good," or "I love your style." Leonard never brags, never explains. He just nods, smiles, and continues on, leaving a trail of quiet intrigue behind him. That's the power of having a signature style. It's not about the price tags or the labels. It's about the message you send without speaking. A well-chosen outfit shows self-respect. A thoughtfully applied cologne tells the world you care about the atmosphere you create. Even the way your glasses frame your eyes or the way your belt matches your shoes speaks volumes. These aren't just details, they're expressions of how you see yourself. And women notice. They always do. Style, when it's worn with comfort and authenticity, becomes a part of your identity. It's not about dressing to impress. It's about dressing to express, to say, through fabric and fragrance, "This is who I am, and I know exactly what works for me." That kind of self-assurance doesn't scream, it whispers. And that whisper stays in people's minds long after the conversation ends. So if someone compliments your scent or your sense of style, take it to heart. It means you've made an impression that goes beyond the surface. You've shown up fully, thoughtfully, authentically in that kind of presence. It's not just noticed, it's remembered. Number 7, younger men look up to you. There's a quiet kind of respect that doesn't need to be spoken to be deeply felt. If younger men often seek your advice, compliment your style, or seem to lean in when you speak, it's more than flattery, it's a reflection of the man you've become. Confidence without arrogance, wisdom without preaching, strength without needing to show it off. These are traits that can't be borrowed or faked. They're earned over time. And when young men notice them in you, it's because they see something they hope to become. Let's take Dennis, a 68-year-old retired paramedic from Oregon. He doesn't try to be anyone's role model, but somehow, he is. His grandson's friends ask him for tips on handling pressure. The young man who bags his groceries always pauses to ask what Dennis thinks about life after retirement. And just last week, a young father at the park stopped him and said, "You always seem so steady. How do you stay so calm?" Dennis never tries to be impressive, but his life, his way of carrying himself, already is. When younger men look up to you, it's because you represent something real. They're drawn to your grounded presence, the kind that doesn't need to fill the room to be felt. And what's even more interesting, women notice that, too. When a younger man shows deference, listens closely, or imitates your mannerisms, it tells others, especially women, that there's something about you worth respecting. It's not bravado, it's legacy, it's quiet leadership. This kind of admiration isn't earned through big gestures. It shows up in the small, consistent ways you live your life, the way you offer advice without ego, the way you wear your years with pride, not apology, the way you're comfortable letting others shine because you no longer need the spotlight to feel seen. And that kind of self-assurance, calm, rooted, humble, is one of the most attractive energies a man can carry. So if you ever notice a younger man mirroring your style, seeking your guidance, or simply looking at you with quiet admiration, know that you're leaving a mark, not through flashy words, but through example. And in a world that's hungry for true character, your presence is more than respected, it's deeply valued. Number 8, people remember you fondly. After you leave a room, one of the clearest signs of true attractiveness isn't just how people react when you're present, it's how they feel after you've left. If you've ever walked back into a room and been met with warm smiles, a sense of ease, or someone saying, "It's good to see you again," take note. That kind of lingering impression doesn't come from appearance alone. It comes from the energy you carry, the way you connect, and the quiet authenticity that stays with people long after the conversation ends. Take Harold, a 73-year-old retired school counselor from Minneapolis. He doesn't have a booming voice or a flashy sense of humor, but wherever he goes, be it the post office, a neighbor's gathering, or his local coffee shop, people light up when they see him. Why? Because when Harold speaks to you, even for a few minutes, you feel like the only person in the room. He listens without distraction, remembers names, and always leaves people with something kind or thoughtful to hold on to. He makes others feel important, and that feeling sticks. You see, in a world full of noise, being someone who offers quiet presence is rare and deeply magnetic. The way you treat people, the small gestures of interest and care, the way you make others feel seen and respected, these are the things that make you memorable. Women in particular are attuned to this kind of emotional impact. They don't just remember what you said, they remember how you made them feel. And when that feeling is comfort, admiration, and warmth, it speaks louder than anything else. This kind of timeless charm doesn't come from trying to be liked. It comes from being grounded in who you are. You've lived long enough to know the power of kindness, the strength of patience, and the beauty of simply being present. That wisdom shows in your interactions, and it's what sets you apart. People walk away from a moment with you feeling better than before, and that, more than anything, is what makes you attractive in the eyes of others. So if you've ever noticed someone light up when they see you again, or you've heard, "You're always such a pleasure to be around," take it to heart. That's your legacy in motion, not just how you look, but how you make others feel. That's the kind of presence people remember. And that's the kind of man women quietly admire, long after you've left the room. Thank you for spending your time here today. If even one of these signs reminded you of your own quiet strength or made you see yourself in a new light, then this message found its place. Your story, your presence. It matters more than you know. I'd love to hear from you. Just drop a quick "still got it" in the comments if anything resonated with you, or share your own moments. You never know who might be encouraged by your words. And if this video gave you a boost of confidence, feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications. It's a simple way to stay connected as we continue exploring what it means to age with strength, wisdom, and undeniable appeal. Until next time, carry yourself with pride. You've earned every bit of the respect, admiration, and quiet attention that follows you. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.